Masturbation after 60 is not a shameful secret. It is a way to protect your prostate, keep your blood flowing, and guard your erection health. Pornography after 60 may have stolen some of your sensitivity, but balance brings it back. Your body is waiting for you to give it rhythm, circulation, and confidence again. Never forget this truth. Erection loss is not the end of your story. It is a call to fight for yourself, to refuse silence, to refuse shame, to reclaim intimacy, energy, and the pride of being a man who still matters.
Never forget this truth. Erection loss is not the end of your story. It is a call to fight for yourself, to refuse silence, to refuse shame, to reclaim intimacy, energy, and the pride of being a man who still matters. What really happens with masturbation after 60? And what does pornography after 60 do to your erections, your penis, and your sense of intimacy? Most men never ask these questions out loud, but you've probably felt the weight of them in private. You wonder if the years of silence, the years of hiding your habits, have stolen more from your body than you realize. Here's the truth. What you've been told about stopping, about holding back, about shame, most of it is wrong. Science shows that your brain, your prostate, swing, even your testosterone respond directly to how you use or avoid release. Harvard studies reveal that regular ejaculation lowers the risk of prostate problems by more than 20%, yet almost no one talks about it. Stay with me, because the truth about masturbation after 60 and pornography after 60 is more surprising and more hopeful than you've ever been told. If you're over 60, I want to hear your truth. Comment below if masturbation, or even going without ejaculating, has changed your erections, your energy, or your intimacy. Your story matters, and when you share it, you help other men realize they're not alone. Write the word penis health or erection after 60 in your comment so we can build a real community around this. And if you've ever felt dismissed when asking about your prostate or your confidence, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is here to give you answers without shame. George was 67, a proud ex-military man, disciplined, polished, a leader all his life. But behind closed doors, he carried a secret. His erections weren't the same anymore. What once came easily now felt distant, unreliable. He still used masturbation and pornography, but instead of feeling alive, he ended up weaker, emptier, more ashamed. He told himself what so many men tell themselves. This is just old age. This is what happens after 60. But I want you to hear this clearly. That belief is a myth. I'm Dr. Catherine Rocker, a Yale-trained urologist who has spent over 3 decades helping men just like you. I've sat across from thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. And what I've seen again and again is this. Fading erections are not just about getting older. They're about how your brain and body respond to stimulation, circulation, and hormones. George had fallen into a trap. Masturbation after 60 can still be healthy, even healing, but when it's paired with constant pornography, the brain gets overstimulated. Dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, begins to burn out. Each time George used pornography, his brain released a flood of dopamine. Over time, that flood stopped feeling exciting. His reward system dulled. The same images no longer worked, and his erection problems grew worse. Science calls this dopamine desensitization. The National Institutes of Health has published multiple studies showing that repeated overstimulation reduces sensitivity in the brain's reward centers, leaving men feeling numb, detached, and frustrated. But dopamine wasn't the only issue. Testosterone, the hormone that fuels your strength, intimacy, and vitality, naturally declines about 1% every year after age 30. By 60, you've lost roughly a third of your youthful levels. When George combined lower testosterone with overstimulation from pornography after 60, his body's natural drive for intimacy weakened even more. His muscles shrank, his confidence slipped, and his erections became unreliable. Then came circulation. Erections are about blood flow, nothing more, nothing less. If blood vessels stiffen from years of stress, poor diet, or lack of movement, the penis doesn't get what it needs. The Journal of Sexual Medicine reports that endothelial dysfunction, the medical term for damaged vessel lining, is one of the most common hidden causes of erection problems in men over 60. So George was wrong. It wasn't just age. It was a perfect storm of dopamine burnout, falling testosterone, and slowed circulation. Once he understood this, everything changed. He realized he wasn't broken, he wasn't weak, he wasn't destined to spend the rest of his life in silence. And that's the hidden truth I want you to hear. Masturbation after 60 isn't your enemy. Pornography after 60 isn't harmless either. What matters is how your brain and body respond and how you choose to restore balance. You deserve to know science. You deserve to reclaim your confidence. And you deserve to feel like yourself again. There's a hidden enemy that men over 60 almost never hear about. It's not just age, or bad luck, or even low testosterone. It's something far more silent and far more damaging. Two forces working together against you: dopamine burnout in the brain and endothelial dysfunction in your blood vessels. When you turn to pornography after 60, your brain's reward system is hit harder than it was when you were young. Each time you watch, dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical, surges. But the brain adapts. Harvard research shows that overstimulation from constant pornography use dulls the receptors, so the same stimulus gives you less pleasure. What once was exciting now feels flat. And when dopamine receptors go numb, your motivation and sexual response do too. That's dopamine burnout. This is why masturbation after 60 can sometimes leave you frustrated instead of satisfied. If it's tied to too much pornography, the nerves in your penis start to lose sensitivity. It's not that the penis is broken, it's that the brain-to-penis connection is burned out. Over time, this means slower arousal, weaker penile response, and erection loss that feels like it came out of nowhere. But the brain isn't the only battleground. The blood vessels feeding your penis also suffer. The inner lining of those vessels is called the endothelium. It releases nitric oxide, the key molecule that lets your penis fill with blood and stay hard. But with age, stress, poor diet, and inactivity, endothelial dysfunction sets in. The Mayo Clinic has shown that men with poor circulation have dramatically higher rates of erectile dysfunction, not because of hormones, but because the plumbing fails. No nitric oxide, no blood flow, no erection. And here's where it gets worse. When dopamine is burned out from pornography after 60, and blood flow is weakened by endothelial dysfunction, the two problems feed off each other. Less sensitivity in the brain means you need stronger stimulation. Weaker circulation in the penis means even strong stimulation can't create the same erection. You chase the high, but the high never comes. The result is a cycle of frustration, shame, and silence. The science is clear. NIH data shows that regular exposure to artificial sexual stimulation changes brain reward pathways in a way similar to drug addiction. And studies in the Journal of Sexual Medicine confirm that endothelial dysfunction is present in more than 70% of men with erection loss. This is not just in your head, it's written in your biology. You need to understand this enemy because when you blame yourself, when you say, "I'm just old," you accept defeat. But it's not age alone. It's dopamine burnout and it's circulation loss. Both can be reversed. But only if you first name the enemy that's been stealing your strength in silence. You don't need another pill. You don't need another empty promise. What your penis and your brain need is restoration. The good news is that dopamine burnout and endothelial dysfunction are not permanent scars. They are conditions your body can begin to heal from the moment you change what you feed it, physically and mentally. The first step is reclaiming control over your stimulation. If you've relied on pornography after 60, your brain's dopamine system is running on fumes. Pulling back from excess pornography use gives your receptors a chance to reset. Harvard researchers have shown that when dopamine pathways are allowed to recover, sensitivity improves, motivation returns, and erections become easier to trigger. Even 2 to 3 weeks of reduced artificial stimulation can bring noticeable improvements in sexual response. The first step is reclaiming control over your stimulation. If you've relied on pornography after 60, your brain's dopamine system is running on fumes. Pulling back from excess pornography use gives your receptors a chance to reset. Harvard researchers have shown that when dopamine pathways are allowed to recover, sensitivity improves, motivation returns, and erections become easier to trigger. Even 2 to 3 weeks of reduced artificial stimulation can bring noticeable improvements in sexual response. The first step is reclaiming control over your stimulation. If you've relied on pornography after 60, your brain's dopamine system is running on fumes. Pulling back from excess pornography use gives your receptors a chance to reset. Harvard researchers have shown that when dopamine pathways are allowed to recover, sensitivity improves, motivation returns, and erections become easier to trigger. Even 2 to 3 weeks of reduced artificial stimulation can bring noticeable improvements in sexual response. The first step is reclaiming control over your stimulation. If you've relied on pornography after 60, your brain's dopamine system is running on fumes. Pulling back from excess pornography use gives your receptors a chance to reset. Harvard researchers have shown that when dopamine pathways are allowed to recover, sensitivity improves, motivation returns, and erections become easier to trigger. Even 2 to 3 weeks of reduced artificial stimulation can bring noticeable improvements in sexual response. The first step is reclaiming control over your stimulation. If you've relied on pornography after 60, your brain's dopamine system is running on fumes. Pulling back from excess pornography use gives your receptors a chance to reset. Harvard researchers have shown that when dopamine pathways are allowed to recover, sensitivity improves, motivation returns, and erections become easier to trigger. Even 2 to 3 weeks of reduced artificial stimulation can bring noticeable improvements in sexual response. The second step is choosing a healthier rhythm of masturbation after 60. Your penis health depends on blood flow. Too little release allows stagnation in the prostate, while too much drains your energy and burns out nerves. The balance is 2 to 4 ejaculations per week, enough to keep blood circulating, the prostate flushed, and erections practiced, but not so much that your dopamine system collapses. The American Urological Association notes that this rhythm supports prostate health and lowers long-term cancer risk. The third step is repairing your circulation from the inside out. Endothelial dysfunction responds powerfully to diet. Beetroot juice is rich in nitrates that convert to nitric oxide, directly improving blood vessel dilation. A study in the Journal of Applied Physiology showed nitrate-rich foods can increase nitric oxide levels by over 20% within days. Brazil nuts are the richest natural source of selenium, essential for testosterone production. Just 1 nut a day meets your body's needs. And pumpkin seeds provide zinc, another mineral that keeps testosterone and prostate health stable. The fourth step is movement. Every brisk walk, every set of squats, every deep breath of oxygen signals your endothelium to release more nitric oxide. The Mayo Clinic has found that men who exercise regularly are 40% less likely to suffer from erection loss, regardless of age. It's not just about muscles, it's about the blood vessels that feed your penis staying open and flexible. And finally, silence the shame. Masturbation after 60 is not weakness, it's maintenance. It's how you keep circulation alive, how you train your penis to respond, how you guard your prostate against stagnation. When you let go of shame, your brain relaxes, cortisol drops, testosterone rises, and intimacy becomes natural again. By day 14, your body is visibly shifting. Erections feel fuller and easier to maintain. You might notice your penis responds faster to touch. That's sensitivity coming back as dopamine pathways recover. The Mayo Clinic reports that men who adopt regular exercise see improved endothelial function in as little as 2 weeks. And when your endothelium releases more nitric oxide, the blood flow to your penis strengthens. This is when urination often feels smoother too, because your prostate is being regularly flushed by healthy ejaculation. These are simple, natural steps. They cost nothing. They require no prescription. But together they restore what was stolen: your erections, your confidence, and your place as a man who still feels alive. Here's what happens when you put these steps into practice. Not theory, not wishful thinking, but real biological change that your body still knows how to make. By the end of the first week, the fog begins to lift. When you cut down on pornography after 60, your dopamine receptors stop being hammered with overload. You may notice your mood is steadier, your energy more consistent. Morning erections, even if faint, begin to return because your brain-to-penis connection is starting to heal. Just 7 days of circulation-focused foods like beetroot or Brazil nuts are enough to measurably raise nitric oxide and testosterone levels in your blood. You start to feel a spark again. By day 14, your body is visibly shifting. Erections feel fuller and easier to maintain. You might notice your penis responds faster to touch. That's sensitivity coming back as dopamine pathways recover. The Mayo Clinic reports that men who adopt regular exercise see improved endothelial function in as little as 2 weeks. And when your endothelium releases more nitric oxide, the blood flow to your penis strengthens. This is when urination often feels smoother too, because your prostate is being regularly flushed by healthy ejaculation. By day 30, the transformation is undeniable. Erections that were weak or unreliable are now stronger, more dependable. Your confidence rises, not only in the bedroom, but in how you carry yourself. Testosterone feels alive again. You wake up with more drive, more presence, more energy to connect with your partner. Studies from the Journal of Sexual Medicine confirm that men who restore sexual rhythm and blood flow show up to 50% improvement in erection strength within a month. Your penis health is no longer in decline. It's moving forward. But beyond the physical changes, something deeper shifts. You stop feeling broken. You stop feeling like your best years are behind you. You realize that erection loss wasn't just about age, it was about neglected systems that could be brought back online. The shame begins to fade, replaced by quiet pride that you took back control of your body. Day by day, week by week, your penis, your prostate, and your sense of manhood return. Not perfectly, not instantly, but reliably, steadily, like the rising sun. This is what happens when you respect your biology and give it what it has always needed: balance, blood flow, and freedom from shame. The most dangerous mistake men make after 60 is swinging to extremes. Some believe the only way to protect their energy is total abstinence. Others lean into constant release, often fueled by pornography after 60. Both paths lead to the same place: disappointment and decline. When you avoid ejaculation completely, your prostate suffers. Fluid builds up, circulation slows, and your penis health begins to decline. The National Institutes of Health has shown that men with low sexual activity face higher risks of prostate issues and faster erection loss. The silence feels safe at first, but in the long run, it costs you vitality. On the other side, overindulgence can be just as damaging. Daily pornography-driven masturbation overloads the brain with dopamine, leaving your receptors numb. Erections become weaker, sensitivity fades, and the very act that should preserve your manhood begins to strip it away. Harvard research confirms that dopamine overstimulation rewires the brain, creating a tolerance that robs you of natural pleasure. The truth is, your strength depends on rhythm, not extremes. 2 to 4 healthy ejaculations per week without constant pornography is enough to protect your prostate, restore erections, and keep testosterone flowing. Anything less risks stagnation. Anything more risks burnout. The mistake to avoid is ignoring balance. Your penis, your erections, and your prostate after 60 don't need silence or excess. They need wisdom. You are not broken. You are not finished. Your penis, your erections, your masculinity, they are still alive inside you. What you've faced isn't weakness or failure. It's biology, and biology can be restored. If this message speaks to you, like this video. Share it with another man who needs to hear he's not alone. Subscribe for more guidance, and leave a comment below. Tell your story. Break the silence. Together, we create strength. Together, we rise.